The first speaker is Andrew Manello.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to comment on Dr. Sikura's comment about the students speaking. I think certainly nobody should be jeering or cheering against any. Can everybody hear me? Good? Against any students speaking out in the school district, whether you agree or disagree with them. They're students and they're very brave to get up in front of this audience. You know, most students get afraid to do a presentation in the classroom, so I do agree with you, Dr. Sikora. However, I would like to point out that student that did speak, his mother is running for town supervisor. Her name is Maria Schuring. She's running on the Democratic ticket on a very liberal socialist agenda, very similar to Bernie Sanders. So everybody be aware of that, who's speaking from the students. Now on to my point. Mr. Savaretti, congratulations. I know you were sworn in a couple of weeks ago. And when you were sworn in, you took an oath. And that's code 2122 in your policy manual. Let me read that to you to refresh you. When board members are sworn in, they say, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties, the office of the members of the Board of Education to the Smithtown Central School District, to the best of my ability. Okay, so if you defend the Constitution, that means you, Mr. Gribbins, I'm looking right at you. You cannot interrupt us when we are speaking. As evidenced in a landmark case in 1964 titled Sullivan v. the New York Times. It actually involved Dr. Martin Luther King. Let me read to you a snippet of the ruling. Uninhibited, robust, and a wide-open debate on public issues must include a vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on public officials. That's all of you sitting up there, by the way. The Constitution, which you swore an oath to, again, you're appointed officials, you're elected officials, and 2 of you will be voted out next year, so don't worry. So where was I? The Constitution requires those officials to endorse such criticism unless the statements were made with actual malice. Meaning if people are up here presenting foils of this school district spending, let me point a couple out here, $9,000 to erase racism, which sounds great. Who wants racism in our schools? Let me point out a couple of things that racism teaches these administrators and these teachers. It's right here. Right here, I can give it to you so you can put it into the minutes if you'd like it so people can foil it in the future. It teaches that there's privileged and oppressed targeted people. So here, let me read to you some of the oppressed people. Privileged people. Men and cisgender people. I don't know what a cisgender people is, but I believe there's only 2 genders. The oppressed targeted people are women and transgender people. So essentially, we're sending teachers to trainings that are advocating that every little girl in this school district is an oppressed targeted person. Why are we not teaching empowerment to these women? Okay? I have 2 young little girls, by the way, so I find this insanely offensive. So let's move on to, what do we have here? Oh, Progression Partners. This was a big one. $39,500. Oh, that's my time. Too bad.
Sorry, Mr. Manello. I hate to cut you off, but we do have a policy that we
follow.
But
you know, you spent $40,000 on information that's all about race, teaching race. That's all you're drilling to these kids' heads. That they're either our community. We know the makeup of this. We know the makeup of this community. This is primarily a white community, and people should not be ashamed that they are white people. We are not oppressors. We are good people. I'm a hardworking person. I'm raising my little girls. I'm raising my little girls not to feel that they're oppressed and that they have to give back to victims. There are no victims and there are no oppressors in society. The only reason children get these thoughts in their mind is because of you people putting them into their minds. I do not teach that in my home. If you want to teach racism, you want to teach racism in your home, teach it in your home. Teach in your home. Do not teach in my school district. Racism has no place in my school district. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is racist, and you know it. Dr. Martin Luther King rolling in his grave.
Sit down. Enough of the grandstanding. Your time has expired. We are moving on to the next person.
Resignation of Dr.
And sit down, please.
Let me just explain too, Mr. Manello. I have asked you several times through email if you'd like to meet and speak with me. That's absolutely fine. I will do that anytime. Right? You can be part of the solution rather than up here grandstanding week after week trying to make a show. Then roll up your sleeves and get down to work. Okay? There will be no
Thank you, sir.
shouting out and no
we'll-
interrupting.
That's about enough, folks.
You spoke.
Thank you.
And I have an
Mrs.
opportunity
O'Connor.
to speak as well.
Mr. Manila, your time has expired. We are moving on to the next person. Mrs. O'Connor?
The next person.
Excuse me, guys. We spoke about this at the beginning of the meeting. The calling out is not going to be tolerated. This nonsense will not be tolerated. That's about enough. If you can't conduct yourselves, we will either ask you to leave or end the meeting. Thank you.